You're welcome to NC Exclusive. This is the sports special of NC Exclusive, and I am Onyechi Obaru. Football sometimes is referred to as a religion, and the coach we will be talking to today has been able to make the game and her faith perfect partners. Now we have the pleasure of having the coach of South Sudan senior women's national team. She has been able to do something wonderful in the world of women's football. Now this coach has got two loves which are at odds, engineering and football, but she has been able to make it work like a dream. We have the pleasures of having Coach Shilene Booysen, the coach of South Sudan women's national team. Glad to have you, Coach.
Hi, Oyeti. Glad to be here.
Now, with all the research I made about you, I did read that you started football at the age of 25. Even when others who love football will have to start from academy, they go to the ranks, down to the senior national team, but you chose to start football at 25. Can you tell us why?
Well, I didn't really choose to start at 25. I think I just kind of fell into football because my whole life I've been a sports person, but I didn't even know that there was football being played by females in South Africa until, the age of like 25. And then I just started playing with one of the teams that I played netball for. And I liked it so much that I started immediately getting into the coaching side of things. So I think that's how I got into football.
Tell us right now about your playing days when you played football, even at the age of 25. I want to get into that word with you.
Yeah, so I started playing at 25 and I started out as a defender. And I did that for like a year or two until I realized, I have some netball skills, so maybe I can be a goalkeeper, which I then absolutely loved when I transitioned. And just 6 months or a year into being a goalkeeper, I was called up by the national team. Unfortunately, that didn't last very long because my job commitments and my I had an injury. I tore the ligaments in my knee, and I just didn't get the feeling that I wanted to go back to the highest level of football after that. So, I played a lot of amateur football and semi-professional in South Africa, but that's where it ended.
It's a good one, but you will be remembered surely in South Africa for all that you had given in goalkeeping. Now, there is one interesting thing about you. I did read about you having to quit one love, talking about some engineering for football. How were you able to make that decision? Quitting engineering for football?
Sometimes like my faith is very strong, and I felt like God was sending me in one direction and I was pushing in another. And I worked for a long time in the engineering industry, which was like almost, I think, 23 years. And when I started playing football, I also started doing coaching courses, and I started to see how people actually loved it and how they wanted to get better. And I felt like I could actually contribute in that way. And I also love people. So, for me, that was an opportunity to get into it and help people and support people in their dreams. And so I did all the coaching courses. And when I finally did it, I decided there was just a time when I felt like God was pushing me to go full time into what I now call is sports ministry, but also football coaching. So when I did that, I was absolutely at peace with it. The money is not as good as when you work in an engineering company, but I think it's not so much for me about the money as it is about changing people's lives.
Well, it's very rare to see one who's going to leave engineering to delve into football. Now, according to you, it's not all about the money, it's just for that love. I did say earlier that you're one coach who have to merge your faith with the game. Now, how were you able to do that? Or why do they have that term for you, having to merge your faith with the game?
Well, it's having to believe that God has a plan for you. And even when things go wrong and things are not exactly the way you thought it would be, it's about continuing and, persevering in even when there's doubts. So for me, my faith is what carries me through. And I always say, if my time is up, God will let me know, and He will open another door for me. But for now, I think I'm with South Sudan, and I love it here. I love the people. I love the players. I absolutely support what the federation is doing here, and that's the reason why I'm here.
It's wonderful to hear that comment from you. I'm hoping that I get to follow my faith one day or sometime. All right now, tell us about your coaching journey. Now, early this year, when the announcement was made that you would be the coach of the South Sudan senior women's national team, it was great joy for them, because this is a place where women's football is not celebrated that much. But tell us about that coaching journey, how you became South Sudan coach.
Well, like you said, I worked with the senior women's national team in South Africa for almost 7 years. And in that time, I also worked with the junior teams. I worked at academies. I worked with the males, the Bafana team. And in all of that, I kind of felt like, it was just while I was supporting others, I also had my own path that I needed to follow. And I think just towards the end of last year, I was telling Desiree that, I'm a specialist analyst, and I think I read the game very well, but there's more to me than just being an analyst. And I think with her, she gave me the freedom to do exactly what I'm good at. But when we started talking, she said to me, I think it's time that you transition into the next phase of your game, which is obviously the coaching part, because I don't think a lot of people know that I'm as qualified as Desiree. So when we started talking about it, I started to look out for positions that would, the way I could use the expertise that I have, because I have a FIFA goalkeeping license as well as the SAFA, and then I also have a CAF A license. I'm experienced in analysis. So all of that put together, and I'm also I can teach people. And so putting all of that together, I needed to go to a country that could use those specific things that I could bring to the table. And I think South Sudan was available, I was available, and I think we just kind of clicked, and it just worked out that I came here.
It was a big announcement for the South Sudan ladies when they heard that you will be the coach of the side. But in a place where football is a taboo for women, how were you able to cope with these restrictions in South Sudan for the national team?
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult than the usual just making an announcement that these players are selected for the national team. You actually have to even when before you announce the team, you have to get permission from the clubs, from the tribes, from the families, to make sure that the player is eligible and they are willing to release the player to come and play for the national team. So, and not a lot of emphasis is put on players. So the development structure is not as good as other countries. But we're working on that to get the grassroots in, because I think a lot of things have changed in South Sudan. People might not know it, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't know about. But it's football for women especially is growing in leaps and bounds.
So what has been done, what has been put in place to break that jinx for women to be able to play football freely like other countries, African countries?
I think just starting the leagues openly and making it available for people to come and have a look at what the women can do has been a huge contributor. Supporting us, going to the COSAFA, putting in the investment to make sure that we get the opportunities to play. That has been a huge difference in just the people's mindsets. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people. Obviously, there's still a lot of negativity, but there's so much positivity around the team at the moment. And I think that is what we need to keep on doing. What we're doing, we need to keep on doing that. Keep the limelight on the women players so that people can see that they can play and women can play football.
It's a huge thing you're doing over there. But have you been faced with any challenge with the fact that there are a bit of restrictions for women to go into football? Have you been faced with any challenge? Can you share that with us?
I'm not sure like what kind of challenges, but I mean there was one game where a husband of one of the players had come out, and he had one of his bodyguards had shot into the air. And I mean, this is one of the best players, I believe, in South Sudan, but I don't get to see them, because once a player gets married or gets married off to someone, then they almost become the property of that person. So now it becomes difficult to select players like that. And I think it's not just one player. There's quite a few players that's actually very, very good, but you cannot select them because they are married. Whereas in other countries, I think people get married and then they still continue to follow their dreams and they still continue to play the sport that they love. And I think the men are different. With here, the men get to play the sport, they get married, and they still continue to play the sport.
We're hoping that the orientation is done over there and people will accept football for women as the day goes by. Now let's get to women football in Africa. What's your evaluation of football in Africa for women?
I think in Africa, we are growing. People are making the investments, and a lot of federations are now saying that, look, there's opportunities overseas for our players to earn money. There's opportunities for our players to go and study abroad. So those are the opportunities that we need to give them. But in order to get there, we need to expose them. And I think this is what the CAF Champions League is doing. I think this is what our Women's Africa Cup of Nations will do. And then when teams go to the big Olympics, World Cups, that's where they get the opportunity to be seen and to be scouted and get big contracts.
How would you rate your team at this time? What is the vision for your team?
Well, the vision has always been, since I started here, was to build a strong team, but to build it slowly. So, we've learned a lot of lessons from going to COSAFA and then playing the likes of Kenya in the two-legged qualifier. But I think now is the time, they say you either learn or you either win or you learn.
Okay.
Well, I think we've done a lot of learning. So I think now we need to do a lot of winning. So now we need to play teams that's more on our level. I look at Kenya. Kenya has a 35-year legacy of football. And women's football. When I talk about football, I'm talking women's football. So, South Sudan has only just started. They started in 2019 with 3 games, and then it was the COVID, so they didn't have any activity until this year. So basically, they are a 1-year-old team. And I think that is what people have to understand, that Rome wasn't built in one day. We all know, the players know, the federation knows that this is going to be an ongoing project that we want to be the best, but it's not going to happen. Instant results are not going to be there. But yes, we want to now play teams that's more sort of our level, so that we can also build a little bit of confidence and then, take the next step of competing with the better teams in CECAFA. Kenya is currently the CECAFA champions.
Okay, I want to know if it was intentional for you to start your coaching career with a growing team, as according to your terms. Was it intentional?
Absolutely. Okay. Not so much that I wanted a growing team, but I needed a team that not just I could grow with, but that I could nurture. And these girls, that is exactly what they need. They don't need a coach who's more focused on results than it is about getting the players to play better, getting the players to, to evaluate, because my strength lies in nurturing psychology. That's one of my strengths, and getting the team to a place where they have a good foundation, and then maybe someone else will take over and have all the better results, but then at least the foundation has been built. And I think that has always been my plan, to go to teams that need foundation building.
Okay, what's your evaluation of the South Sudan Football Federation?
They've absolutely been amazing. We've just, I think the administration that's in power now has just come in the last 3 months. So they were kind of not the people who appointed me, but they are there now. And I mean, we've had talks and they understand what the vision is and they support it fully. The president is just amazing the way he's gone about, making me feel like what I'm doing is the right thing and what we are looking for is exactly, what we currently have, building a team from scratch to the place where we want to be in 4 years' time, maybe the CECAFA champions, because amidst realistic goals, we've set ourselves realistic goals, and this is something that we really, really want to do. You don't want to stop because the results are not coming. You want to continue so that in a few years' time, people will look back and say, it was hard, but it was worth it.
Okay, let's put you on the spot right now. What would be the peak of your career in coaching?
What would be the pickup?
I need to put you there
now. Yeah, I don't know what the in my coaching career, but in being with Banyana, I think it was the 2017 COSAFA winning the COSAFA championship in 2017, because on many occasions we had to come from behind and just to make sure that the players understood what the value would be. Because after that, I mean, so many things happened, so many good things happened after 2017 for South Africa. And I think just being here for me, the highlight would definitely be just working with the players and making sure that they understand and that they grow to the next level. Because for me, it's all about them. I mean, I'm in the process. One of the players is in the process of, getting signed overseas. So that's always a huge thing when you look at how you can develop a player to be able to be scouted and have a hand in it. Because I feel like I had a hand in a lot of the South African players, but it's not that you want to, put your hand up and say it's me. But you do have a hand in a lot of the development of many of the top players in the world.
If South Sudan have to play South Africa, what side will you be on? Of course, you are the coach of South Sudan, but you've got that soft spot for the Bayanas.
Yeah, but there would be no choice for me, because this is now my adopted country and the players that I love is with this team. And so not that I don't love the South African players, but your heart is kind of where your home is where your heart is. And currently my heart is in South Sudan. So this is where I would, obviously, I don't think playing South Africa is on the cards right now, because they're one of the best teams in Africa. And I think we want to build our team up slowly to get to the point where they can confidently say, let's compete with the likes of South Africa, with the likes of Nigeria. For now, we're just kind of trying to make it possible for us to, to compete. At the moment, we're basically participating, but I think we want to get to the point where we're actually competing with other teams.
Would you love to go back to engineering? Like, say bye to football and go back?
No, not in this lifetime. Maybe in the next one, yes. But I mean, everything that I do is analytical. Okay. I mean, I analyze the players to the T. I always tell the players, like, I watch the games 3 or 4 times and make sure that the things that I say is factual and not just, oh, you didn't do a lot of this, oh, you didn't do a lot of this. I want it to be factual. I want to say to a player, you lost the ball 4 times and it must be facts. So players will say, but coach, how do you know I lost the ball 4 times? I know you lost the ball 4 times because I watched your clips over and over again. So, it's all analytical, and everything that I do, I make little clips for them, but I also do statistical analysis for them so that they can see where they can get better. It's not just about sending them out onto the field, training them, and then saying, okay, go do your thing. It has to be that they look back and they say, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do well? And how can I improve? And how can I continue with the things that I do well? How can I do more of that? So, I mean, you asked me about just South Africa and South Sudan. I'm currently split between, Mamelodi Sundowns and Vihiga Queens, because Vihiga Queens is the representative of Sekafa, and Mamelodi Sundowns is the representative of Kosafa at the Champions League. So it's a little bit of a dicey thing where you want to shout for Mamelodi Sundowns, but also you're looking at Vihiga Queens and you know all the players, and you kind of saying, okay, whoever wins, it's fine with me.
That's a great one over there. We will be looking out for South Sudan as they develop in the world of women's football. It was a great conversation with you, Coach Shilene Booysen, the coach of South Sudan women's national team. Thank you so very much. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Oeti. And thank you to your viewers for listening and watching the show.
Thank you so much. Do have a nice time.